When it comes to guiding students through the university interview process, I do emphasize through preparation, self-reflection, and treating the interview as a conversation. It helps them ease nerves and build confidence. As with any interview, applicants should wear business casual attire, maintain eye contact, smile, and be natural. For a virtual interview, they should make sure they are in a location without interruptions.
Let's deep dive into merit-based scholarships.
Merit-based scholarship is awarded to students based on their academic or any other achievements rather than it's on their financial need. To qualify for these scholarships, students need to maintain high GPA, achieve strong standardized test scores, and demonstrate involvement in extracurricular activities.
To all my dear listeners out there, a very good evening. I am Anne Gracious, your host for today, representing ICAE. Welcome to our latest episode of our podcast Friday series called Beyond Borders Higher Ed Edition. Today, we are thrilled to discuss the most nervous thing that students face, that is university interviews. So we would be speaking on preparing for university interviews and merit-based scholarships based in the US, okay? We have a very special guest with us, Miss Anjali Uppal. Thank you, Anjali, for joining in. I'll give a brief introduction about her. She is a dedicated college advisor with over 9 years of experience in the higher education sector. She's an expert in guiding students through the college admission process, focusing on the institutions in the US, UK, Canada, and the rest of the world. She is currently the career and the college advisor at the Shri Millennium School, where she has been leading the career advisory department for over 2 years now. This school has branches in Noida, Faridabad, and Gurgaon. The latest feather added to her hat is the outstanding contributions in the field of education and the Leadership Excellence Award from Malaysian Taylor's University and Fly Graduate International Organization. It's an honor to have you, Miss Anjali, on our podcast today. Thank you for joining in.
No, thank you so much for having me here. It's a pleasure to be a part of this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So without any further delay, first, before we touch this nervous situation that students face over here when it comes to university interviews, because end of the day, they're just 17 and 18-year-olds, and it's the first interview they are facing. Can you share an experience, how your experience in guiding students through the interview process? Like, how was it? And what feedback you have received from them?
When it comes to guiding students through the university interview process, they say that, initially we were very nervous and, we thought we didn't know what we are going to be getting into. But of course, it's not even half as close as what they expected it to be. When it comes to guiding students through the university interview process, I do emphasize through telling them that go through a thorough preparation, self-reflection, and treating the interview as a conversation, just like you and I are having it. And it helps them ease nerves and build confidence.
Okay. So to all our young listeners out there, we understand that university interviews can be nerve-wracking, can be tedious to prepare for. There are deadlines to adhere to, and there are a lot more when it comes on that plate. But yes, today we are going to deep dive into what can be the strategies, what can be the common interview questions, what kind of scholarships are out there. We are going to take a deep dive into all of that. And to begin with, most effective strategies for preparing for a university interview.
So when we are talking about strategy, preparing for an interview is, I would say, it's very challenging. It seems challenging. But, firstly, I would like to mention that, there are two types of interviews. So one, I would say, is evaluative and one is just informational. And most college admission interviews are actually evaluative. And where the interview will provide a write-up for the applicant's admission file. And, they will send it back to the college. And that's where on the basis of that, it's one of the criterias. Evaluative interviews are part of the decision process, is what I would say. Universities like, I would say, UPenn or Georgetown require interviews with alumni or admission officers as part of the admission process or the application process. And these interviews significantly impact your application. So it's important to be well prepared. And on the other hand, some universities may simply offer an interview as an opportunity for the applicant to ask questions and just learn about the student. Like, there's Colgate universities where they just want to know the student, but it's not an evaluative interview. So preparing a list of questions based on research is another very, very key aspect.
Okay.
Asking meaningful questions during the interview shows that you've done your homework. I highly suggest students to explore college websites, engage in college visits in person or even virtually, sign up for webinars, talk with past and current students. These are thorough ways you can learn more about the university that you can and you basically show demonstrated genuine interest. And the word demonstrated interest.
Yes.
So you've put thought, and it shows that you put thought into the understanding of the institution. I would also say another strategy that I highly recommend is practicing through mock interviews.
Yes.
I'll elaborate more on how to practice mock interviews in a little while. Also, one last strategy that is helpful is to make sure that you prepare for the interview by thinking of, I would say, a thoughtful and genuine and specific answer to common interview questions.
So these are some effective strategies that definitely students can keep in mind. But what about demonstrated interest? How can they show it to the university?
Demonstrated interest you can show to the university is by asking specific questions at the end of the interview to the admission officer. That's one way, but you have to have, these questions have to be very, very specific. You can't just randomly, come around and say, I like your university. No, they have to be very thought and well-researched questions. Also, at the end, you should write a thank you note.
Okay.
Yeah.
So thank you note does impact.
Oh, yes.
In fact, I think one thing added to your demonstrated interest, which I've heard from some university counselors as well as some other career counselors too, and even when I was a counselor back a few years ago, I feel having a summer internship or a summer program done from that particular university also does add value. But it's kind of debatable. So what's your views on it?
It is debatable because, for example, if you go to Duke University for a summer program, it clearly says that it's not counted, So it depends on the university. So again, I would say research the university whether they do consider it towards their admission. So if you go to Duke University for the summer program, it's not considered towards their application process. That's why I didn't mention it as a demonstrated interest.
Okay, got it. Common questions that students can expect during a university interview.
So university interviews often include a range of questions that aim to get to know, they want to understand their fit for the institution. So some common questions can be, can you tell me a little about yourself? Or how have you prepared for college? Can you describe your involvement in extracurricular activities? Now, they can be also more general questions like, what are your interests and hobbies? Or they may phrase questions more specifically like, what is your favorite class right now? You would want to make sure you can answer both general and also specific questions. They may even ask open-ended questions like, is there anything you would like us to know about you that isn't in your application? So you would want to be prepared for variations of similar questions. So the types of questions I just mentioned are designed to help the interviewer understand the person behind the application and gauge their preparedness and enthusiasm for college. There are some other type of questions also that they might ask that are, say, university specific. And these might also include questions like, say, why are you interested in attending a university? Or what major do you plan to pursue? Which clubs and which clubs and organizations are you looking to join? How do you believe our university will help you in your future, achieve your future 5 year or 10-year goals? Ultimately, the interviews are designed to, I would say, evaluate whether you're a good fit for that university and whether they are a good fit for you also. So I feel it's a two-way street. It's not that they're fine, they want to see you are a good fit, but whether you are a good fit for them. So knowing the university's values, programs, and culture helps you as a student also tailor your responses to align whether uh, it is what they're looking for. So you need to be thoroughly prepared, go through the entire website, their ethos, everything, including each and every club, what is important for them. You should even know what their mascot is.
Definitely. And I feel this is super helpful the way you've answered every common question that comes up in detail. But one thing in particular, students, while answering questions, can get a bit dicey or a bit nervous, or sometimes don't have an appropriate answer about how to answer something regarding their strengths and weaknesses when asked. They kind of get carried away, or they don't know how to add in the right terms when required. So how do you help students here?
When discussing, say, the right or wrong, or what are their weak points, I encourage students to be honest and reflective.
Okay.
It's important to highlight qualities that I would say align with college's values or missions. For weaknesses, I would say I advise students to acknowledge areas they're working on while emphasizing their efforts for improvement. So if they're weak at one point, it's okay to say that, we're trying to improve on this. Say you're weak at one particular subject. You can always, even the teacher's LOR will be saying that they're improving and or they've jumped on it. So it's okay to acknowledge that. For example, if a student identifies time management as a weakness, they could explain how they are actively employing strategies, creating a to-do list, or a planner to stay organized. And this will demonstrate self-awareness and also commitment for personal growth. So I would say frame answers in this way so that it helps students convey a growth mindset.
Got it.
And genuine desire to learn.
So there is an etiquette for everything in our daily lives, in dining, in a tour, in a classroom. There are multiple areas of life where we maintain a decorum and an etiquette. Throw some light on interview etiquette, do's and don'ts. How can students create best first impression?
It's a great question, actually. And there are definitely some do's and don'ts that can help student navigate their university interview successfully. And as with any interview, I would say the applicant should wear business casual attire, be mindful of interview etiquette. I would say maintain eye contact, smile, and be natural. For a virtual interview, they should make sure they are in a location without interruptions, should be aware of, background images the interview may see on the computer screen. Interviews can, I would say, negatively impact applicants who are not prepared, who demonstrate a lack of knowledge about the institution or the intended major, and who do not engage the alumni interviewer by asking good and thoughtful questions. I would definitely say that be punctual. It's very crucial. I would say be there 5 minutes prior rather than, be run 2 minutes, 3 minutes late. Dress appropriately. I don't know, everyone's probably seen the video where during COVID, where the person was not wearing appropriate tie at the bottom,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
had a tie
Had a
on.
shirt and tie on top. Yeah.
Exactly. So please do not be prepared. Do not dress like that. You might need to get up sometime in between. So be polite and courteous. Greet the interviewer with a smile and maintain good manners throughout the conversation. Listen actively, paying attention to the interviewer's question, respond thoughtfully. It shows you're engaged in a conversation. There are certain don'ts. I would say don't interrupt. Let the interviewer finish their question. Do not be negative. Don't be overly casual, and try to make a good first impression and have a good positive body language.
With the rise of virtual interviews, like you mentioned, right? There are chances where students face technical issues. Any tips to manage them?
Preparing for online interviews does have unique challenges. And first of all, I would say have a stable connection. You have
Yeah.
to make sure. And if you feel you don't, everybody has a hotspot, make sure you are connected to a hotspot, because the hotspot will not, generally doesn't fail. There's nothing worse than the screen freezing mid answer. Log on a few minutes early. Test your camera and microphone before the interview.
Yes.
You don't want to discover technical issues at the last minute. So get familiar with your platform you'll be using, whether it's Zoom, Skype, or another video conferencing tool, and know how to join the meeting, mute, unmute, share your screen if necessary, record yourself. Have a backup plan. If something goes wrong, know how to get in touch with the interviewer, have a phone number or another way to reconnect, and stay calm and professional. I mean, don't start freaking out. Oh my God, oh my God. And, maybe you have a technical issue, but the other person might still be able to see you. So don't start freaking out. Technical glitches happen, and know how to manage it professionally and demonstrate your problem solving skills and composure.
I think staying calm is very much required in such instances because it's easier to lose calm at that prime time.
Yeah.
Earlier, you mentioned about mock interviews.
Yeah.
And it's one of the best ways to prepare for the actual interview. So, how do you think students can set up an effective mock interview? Is there a platform for it, or shed some light on that?
Sure, sure. Mock interviews are very important for preparation, and I would say that they allow students to build confidence, refine their responses, and become comfortable with the interview format. So, by doing so, students can identify areas for improvement and reduce anxiety and the actual interview experience. So, I tell students that you can practice mock interviews with parents or friends. One of the ways will be they can practice by recording their own mock interview and reviewing the footage, writing down their answers to common questions, and walking through them is an important way to gain confidence and come up with, say, meaningful questions to ask during the interview. I feel a student should not memorize word to word, as that can come off scripted.
Okay.
It's important to practice so that they can learn how to think of specific examples to support their answers on the spot, and clearly convey their thoughts and experiences in a manner and that it comes off clearly to the interviewer. Now, when you're asking me resources, there are online platforms also. There's something called they're paid platforms. You can use things like Initial View or Big Interview.
Okay.
These are platforms which offer practice questions, tips, and insights into strategies Additionally, you can reach out to a mentor or your counselor for personalized guidance. And it can be very, very beneficial for honing skills. Or even, like you said, your mentors will give you feedback, parents give feedbacks, counselors give feedbacks. Those are the ways.
We have covered mostly what is included in an interview. So, what are the steps that a student should take post an interview?
Following up with after university interview is really, really important. It's a chance to show your appreciation and show your interest in that university. But first thing is to send a thank you note email to your interviewer, and I would say within 24 to 48 hours. And this quick follow up can leave a lasting impression, and it's also courtesy. After all, the alumni or the admission officer has taken out time from their calendar to interview you. So, first thing is, and in the email, you should mention something specific from your conversation that you found meaningful. And hopefully, you may have had a chance to ask questions about something that you didn't know before. So, mention that in the email, and finish by expressing that hope you stay in touch. Thank you again. I look forward, say, to be a part of Brown University, or I would love to take. I enjoyed hearing about,
Mhm.
say, unique experiences during college. I would love to take, say, you spoke about Gothic literature or something, which you have never heard about. So I would love to take a class that focuses on Gothic literature. Thank you for letting me know. And, something like that. And nothing fancy, but remind the interviewer of who you are, what you care about, and your enthusiasm for the college. So do remember to send a thank you note.
Perfect. Thank you so much. In fact, I feel thank you is one of the golden rules that we use since we are young, and it's been taught in the school as well that every phase, every little act does require a thank you after that. It's a golden rule. So I think the young listeners out there will have to implement it post the interviews as well with universities. Let's deep dive into the most asked scholarship in the US, that is merit based scholarships. One, if you can explain what merit based scholarships are and how do they differ from other types of scholarships?
So, a merit based scholarship is actually aid awarded to students based on their academic or artistic, athletic, or any other achievements rather than it's on their financial need.
Okay.
So, to qualify for these scholarships, students generally need to maintain high GPA, achieve strong standardized test scores,
Mhm.
and demonstrate involvement in extracurricular activities.
Okay.
Some scholarships also consider specific talent or efforts, such as sports achievements or community service work. So I would say, while merit scholarships differ from need-based aid, um, that they don't need to be repaid. In simple words, I would say, they often come with conditions such as um, maintaining a certain GPA or continuing involvement in specific activities.
Okay.
Colleges and universities offer merit scholarships to attract students. Some scholarships aim to foster diversity by increasing the enrollment of represented groups such as
Okay.
women in STEM or minority students. Some scholarships recruit students excelling in other areas like sports. So it's a good idea for students to investigate merit scholarships available at their preferred institutions or
Okay.
from private foundations to understand the application process. And in some cases, students may automatically be considered for merit-based scholarships from colleges as part of their package when they are accepted, because of their holistic. When they look at the application, they just find that this is a good applicant, and
Okay.
we should accept them and offer them because of how they performed.
Got it. I love the way how you differentiated between merit-based and need-based because students kind of get confused there a bit. But yes, you brought a clear, I would say, demarcation between them. Now, one, students do their research is by going into different websites, trying to figure out what scholarships are available.
Yeah.
And but how do students actually know that they qualify for a particular scholarship?
The student's qualification is based on the academic and extracurricular performances. In some cases, scholarships are based on, as I mentioned earlier, to find the scholarships, they have to go onto the particular website of the college and see what the requirements are. But to look for opportunities, they have to be vigilant and they have to look for opportunities within the institution, but they are also external. Now, most colleges will provide information about scholarships on their admissions and financial aid websites. For private scholarships, you search institutions or foundations which offer scholarships for students of certain backgrounds, the opportunity to study abroad. Now, students can also use scholarship search engines like there's FastWeb or there's scholarships.com. They can also consult their high school counselors or their independent counselors for local opportunities. But just be mindful that if you get scholarships from private foundations, you might have to declare these to the universities, that it could be subtracted from financial aid offers that the college gives you. So, an example of a private funded scholarship is one of the prestigious Tata Scholarship.
Okay.
It's a college specific. I'm just giving you an example so
Yeah.
students, get an idea. It's a college specific scholarship program for Cornell University,
Okay.
offered by Tata Organization and Trust. It is a need merit based scholarship offered to Indian students who wish to study in Cornell University. Now, the funding is of 2.5 crores, and it's been made for Cornell University by Tata Organization and Trust to help 20 scholars each year by assisting them financially. Then we have the Aga Khan Scholarship, and there's several others like that. If you want to apply to, there's Morehead Kane in the US. It's specifically for UNC Chapel Hill, Chapel Hill students. So these are external. There's Coca-Cola. There's a Coca-Cola one for Emory University. So these are external. Now, if you're applying to, say, Rice University, it has a separate one, but it's a merit-based scholarship, totally. So it depends on, you'll have to specifically look for these ones.
Okay.
For sports, there is a recruitment process that begins at least 2 to 3 years in advance. There are special sports counselors at times who assist you with the process and even connects you with coaches who are responsible for finding outstanding athletes for the respective colleges. Depending on the sport and, I would say, sport and the caliber of the student, these can be either full scholarships or partial scholarships. So these are very specific. They're called scholarships. There are basketball scholarships and so on.
Wow, this is super helpful. In fact, I've heard about universities in the UK who give a special, I would say, a scholarship for students who have been participating in cricket for a few years. Like they show a gradual interest that they have done throughout, have been consistent, and that pays. So yes, I also feel that yes, starting early is the key, whether it is interviews, whether it's application process, or being worthy for a scholarship.
Absolutely.
Now, there must be an application process for a merit-based scholarship, and what does it include?
So, as I said, it depends on the college, like I mentioned. Some colleges have automatic consideration for merit scholarships as a part of the application process. For the ones that have separate merit aid applications, the requirements can vary significantly. However, most importantly, they mostly look at the school grades extracurriculars. Some may require a standardized testing like ACT,
ACT.
ACT or SAT, depending on top tier college or average merit aids. Some may even look at leadership skills, even look at overall profiles. Some may require additional essays, letter of recommendations, and interviews. After all, most colleges are looking for the brightest students out there. So it depends on what they're looking for. I would only say that students should avoid procrastination.
Yes, absolutely. Any day. Letter of recommendations, commonly known as LORs, is definitely a part of a university application process. And I believe it's a part of a scholarship application process too. So, if you could throw some light on how important role does a LOR play, and what advice do you have for students who are requesting and submitting letter of recommendations?
Recommendation letters are very, very important as they provide an external perspective on your abilities and character. So when a student requests letters, they must choose recommenders who know them very well and they can speak to their strengths. I always urge students to provide the recommender ample time to write the letter and also give some direction. They must give them a summary of their achievements and the scholarship criteria to help them write a more focused recommendation. They must provide a resume and also any all other all the achievements related to whatever's written in their resume, so that it's all connected. A lot of times entire information is not provided, and it's very difficult for a recommender to put things into perspective.
Yes. In fact, I believe there are a lot of schools who practice brag sheet as a form when it comes to university application process. And I think there must be a similar one that they use for a scholarship application process too.
Yes, but a lot of students don't utilize a brag sheet well. And they don't understand that the brag sheet is very, very, very important. So I feel it should be filled with utmost thought and clarity. So I urge students to please be very, very mindful of how they fill it in. It really helps the recommender to give a very thoughtful and good recommendation.
Perfect. So, the young listeners out there, please, please, please be careful when you're filling in your brag sheets, because that helps the recommender write a good letter of recommendation for you.
Absolutely.
In fact, I would say the topics that we spoke about, whether it is scholarships, whether it is university interviews, and even a bit of applications, and a lot of it, all these are time consuming process, right? Now, how do students balance their time between preparing for interviews, completing scholarship applications, and maintaining their academic performance? Because end of the day, they need their predicted grades, which should be high for a university to accept them. So they are juggling between a lot of things. So how do students balance their time?
So so it's if they manage their time well, I feel everything can be done, but a structured approach can help.
Okay.
I recommend creating an Excel sheet, even using sometimes a project management tool can help.
Okay.
A lot of schools also use CALFO, and they have tools, and they have reminders.
Yep.
Which a counselor or a school counselor also sends out. Schools which don't have, I have a student who has used Trello to outline their tasks. Again, you even have reminders. A lot of students use Apple. So a lot of use. So why not use your own reminders? The student should basically set clear deadlines for each scholarship application, interview preparation, break large projects into smaller tasks. Some of my students have even created a Gantt chart to visualize their timeline.
Wow. Sounds very interesting.
So, if you do that at the beginning of the year, things are not difficult. But if you don't, prepare yourself, make a timeline, then things become a task, and it seems an impossible task. So one must prioritize a task based on due dates and ensure that they allocate specific time blocks each week for studying, writing essays, practicing interview questions. And don't forget to schedule regular breaks and include time for stress care to keep stress levels in check. Even as a school counselor, we have a timeline that we share to students. And we've given a whole timeline that this is the actual deadline, but this is our school deadline. And we send reminders, deadlines are coming in, please send this out. So, we also have reminders that we send to students. Staying organized and proactive helps ensure the child stay on top of both academics and application requirements.
Perfect. In fact, I love the student idea where she created a Gantt chart at the beginning of the year. But yes, I've also seen students who have vision boards in place. And yeah, there are students who are focused right from the start. And I think it's always helpful for students to start early, create a timeline for themselves, create a board for themselves that show what all they need to complete in the year and they timely can address to it. So there are a lot of resources, like you said. There are platforms that students use. There are different apps that students use. There are different features over their own phone, tablets, and a lot more that students use, right? And there are, I would say, the counseling support, there are resources which is provided by the school as well. So how do you suggest students can make the most of the support which is offered in their school by their counselors and teachers on campus?
So typically, high school counselors and ICs, like, playing roles, or like me, have the experience and knowledge to guide,
Yeah.
or people like you and
Mhm.
as have the experience and knowledge to guide
Yep.
on available scholarships, opportunities, application procedures, and interview preparations.
Mhm.
Many schools like ours also host workshops focused on writing personal statements and other college specific info sessions. So teachers can provide feedback on essays. So don't hesitate to ask for insights. Um, there are, then there are, of course, I don't suggest using Chat GPT
Yes.
because I feel it's 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 helpful, but it's not helpful because you can make out that this is a Chat GPT essay. It's the moment it comes in front of me, I can make out. So if I can make out, I'm sure an admission officer can. I'm sure you can, Anne.
Yeah.
So, but if you want information, also there's USIEF, United States India Education Fund, which also helps out the students. It's another great resource. Um, but of course, they can reach out to you as well. They can reach out to us. We school counselors we're more than happy,
More
and
than
I feel
happy to, yeah.
we should work in sync. We all should work in sync with each other to help. At the end of the day, the idea is that the student should reach their destination.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
We should the student should reach their dream college.
True. In fact, I think that's one of the goals that everyone works forward to and it's like I would say multiple stakeholders working in towards one student reaching their dream college because there are parents involved, there is school, teachers, counselor, and admission officer, and multiple stakeholders who are working towards that particular goal.
Absolutely, university reps. Because they come in for they are the ones who give the information. There's schools, there's school counselors, there's schools. They have to give the admin office has to give the transcript at the end of the day.
Mhm.
So everybody's working in sync. It's not a one-person journey, but at the end of the day, it is the students' hard work that gets them
Absolutely.
through the journey. So
True.
it's the students. So we are just there as a bridge to help them get through.
I completely agree with you. In fact, the topics that we touched base today, university interviews and merit based scholarship, and with your wide experience of guiding students, could you share any success stories or examples of students who have excelled in their university interviews and have also received merit based scholarships?
Yes, there are quite a few, but the notable, the ones that I do remember offhand. There's one who received the prestigious Robertson Scholarship at UNC Chapel Hill, um, which is a full board. And at the end, so it's covered. That covers a full tuition,
Okay.
room, board,
Wow.
everything, and even gets a stipend at the end of it. At the end, they're called Tiger students. So and they even get placed. So
Wow.
it's a very
Like a
prestigious
complete
one.
package.
Yeah, so it's a very, very prestigious. They're like Tiger Fund is what it's
Mhm,
called.
mhm.
So it's a very, very prestigious scholarship. Then there's another one who got a business scholarship at the University of, I mean, went for business, not a business scholarship, at
Yeah.
the University of San Francisco and got a $25,000 scholarship, which is the maximum that they give. Another student they got actually from three universities,
Mhm.
Purdue, University of Washington, and Penn State, ranging from 47,000 to 58,000. Then one of the students who had a deep passion for golf received a full ride scholarship to Duke University.
Amazing.
So she dedicated countless hours to improving her golf skills and excelled in numerous tournaments. So, at the end, she basically went on a golf scholarship to Duke. Then there was one who went on a $46,000 scholarship for her dedication to music therapy. So, I mean,
Music
that's
therapy. That's interesting.
yes. So these are some of the notable ones that I remember offhand.
Awesome. Even listening to them makes me happy that yes, there are students who are working out on a lot of skills and are achieving great heights. And in fact, the Tiger Fund student that you said, it was like a complete package, including their tuition fee, their accommodation, almost everything of their living cost gets
They
covered
actually take
there.
32 students a year
Yeah,
worldwide.
amazing.
16 from Duke, 16 from UNC. So that's a fantastic one. There are other ones, of course, but
Mhm.
I mean, I can go on.
Yeah, I can understand. And it's amazing to hear. So, before we conclude, can you share one piece of advice or a final tip to the students out there as to how they can prepare for university interviews and apply for merit based scholarships? One last piece of advice for them.
Definitely. I would say my biggest piece of advice is to stay true to yourself. In your essays and interviews, share your unique story. Don't use ChatGPT. You should write what you feel from inside. Start preparing early, ideally 3 months ahead. So
Mhm.
you have time to refine your materials in practice. Make a timeline with deadlines for each part of your application process. Keep a positive attitude throughout. Remember, rejections and setbacks are part of the journey, but they don't define your potential. So focus on your goals and learn from every experience. I firmly believe in Zig Ziglar's saying that there is no shortcut to success. You have to take the stairs. So, students, I would sincerely say work hard and stay dedicated. But of course, you also have to play. I'm not saying that don't, do extracurriculars. So, in the end, your efforts will pay off and you will achieve your dreams.
Amazing. In fact, this is something that will help the students. And I feel the timeline that you shared of starting 3 months prior, at least, so that they can refine and be up to date about whatever they have prepared so far, that helps them a lot. Thank you so much, Miss Anjali, for taking your time today and sharing such valuable insights for the young listeners out there. And in fact, your experience in counseling and your leadership and your dedication in this field also has added feathers to your hat already. But yes, we love it and it's inspiring. And to all the youngsters out there, including me, we appreciate your time and we look forward for seeing a continued positive impact of your work. And to all the listeners out there, thank you for tuning in today. ICAE has more updates and how they can support you in your educational journey. Hope this episode is helpful. Stay tuned for more episodes on Beyond Borders Higher Ed Edition. Until next time, this is Anne Gracious, your host, signing off. Have a great day.
Have a great day, everyone. Wish you all the best.